Welcome to the First Fight Podcast, episode 4, featuring a good friend of mine and Invicta professional MMA fighter, Deanna Bennett. Welcome to the show, Deanna.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Now, Deanna's going to tell us her first fight experience.
So my very first fight I ever had, MMA fight, it was actually on Jeremy Horn's show in Utah, and I never had the thought that I was going to take an MMA fight. You know, I was training, and I was actually doing Muay Thai, kickboxing for a few years, and just kind of doing that for fun to stay in shape. And one of the trainers at the gym was just like, "Hey, I got you an MMA fight. It's in 1 month. Be ready." And I was like, "You're funny. That's great. I don't know about that." And she's just like, "Well, you're signed for it, so it's happening." And so I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm training, so I guess I gotta get ready for that. That sounds great." And it's funny because that's kind of how I got into just competing in kickboxing or anything anyways, is happened to go that route. And so, you know, I was training and super nervous, and you know, I've been playing sports my whole life, and any type of like hockey game or anything, you know, I always get super nervous beforehand. And this one was even more because I'm like, hold up. So you're going to lock me in a cage in front of a bunch of people and just do my thing? And people are just like, "Oh, yeah, you're going to be great, Deanna. You're awesome." And I'm just like, "Y'all are crazy. I don't know what you're talking about." Like, "Oh, okay. Sounds good." And I got there. I weighed in, had my little face off, and you know, my first face off, I remember at weigh-ins, I'm like hands up staring at this girl, and she's mean mugging me and like staring me down, and I was just like uncontrollable laughter, which I think made her even more mad. And I'm just like, I don't take myself seriously enough in that aspect to look at somebody and just be like, "Arr." I'm like, nah, that's
always awkward.
Yeah. Oh, it's super awkward. And like even to this day, I can't even mean mug somebody at those weigh-ins. And then like
I'm always like shaking because
exactly.
you just like are cutting a ton of weight too. And
Oh
and
yeah.
I just get nervous being in front of people. I'm like,
oh yeah.
Don't let her see you shaking.
It's the worst. And I'm standing in front of somebody half naked, like trying to act serious. Like this is my worst nightmare right now. Like this is like, am I asleep? Like half naked in front of like a classroom or something. Like this is the exact same feeling that I have right now. So I'm like, I never know what to do with my hands. One I had on my hips because they're like, "Deanna, act like a normal person." I'm like, guys,
nope, I'm
not a normal person. I can't do this. And it was that moment I'm like, all right, well, I weighed in, so I guess this is real. And the next day, day of the fight, getting my hair cornrowed, which not a good look for me at all. I'm like, I got a funny head shape. I look like a boy. It's like, that's my life right there. And getting my hands wrapped in the back. And I remember my coach was wrapping my hands, and I was like, so is this really gonna happen? Am I really gonna get in there? And they're like, are you legitimately asking that question right now? And I was like, yeah. You guys are gonna make me get into the cage? They're like, and see, my coaches at the time didn't realize it, but I'm a question person the day of the fight. I always get super nervous, and I'm like, "Am I ready for this?" "Yes, Deanna." I'm like, that's all I wanted. I just want somebody to answer my questions in a positive manner, and they just didn't know it at this point, so they just looked at me like, "Is she being serious right now? Like, I sure as heck hope you're ready." And I'm like, "That's not the right answer. The right answer is yes." Like, I don't even care if it's not, but I want to hear yes. I need constant reassurance. Unlike the girlfriend that just needs to be told, like, "You're pretty, you're great." And I'm like, I just need to be told that I'm ready to fight and that I'm in shape, and that's about it. And I remember getting staged right before the fight. My walkout song comes on. I came out to Peaches Relax. It's a song that I've used the majority of my career. And the music started playing, and I was like, all right, I like this. I'm feeling all the anxiety and the butterflies, and pretty much I think I went through every single emotion. You know, they have like the 9 stages of grief or whatever, and I went through every single one of those plus a million more. As I'm walking out, I'm like, I'm excited, I'm sad, I'm scared, I'm happy, I'm excited. and it just kind of rotating. I'm like, I feel like I have like 10 different personalities in my head, and they're all like yelling at each other right now, but they all seem to agree on one thing, like, are you actually gonna do this? And I'm like, okay, when all the personalities start agreeing, that's when I get some issues right there. Like, that's when we're gonna have problems. And, you know, walking out and going up the stairs, and ref checks you out, got my mouthpiece, got everything good. And I remember walking around the cage, and the second I remember hearing the click of the cage shutting, and I was like, all right, well, I'm in here. There's a girl on the other side of the cage, and she's staring me down. She's got her best mean-looking face staring straight at me, and just not even looking anywhere else, just straight at me. I'm like, well, you know, I guess there's only one way out here right now, so I'm going to have to go through her.
Crazy. That part,
right?
When you're like in the cage right before, like when they're calling out your name, it's like the weirdest part of it all.
Oh, completely.
Because all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm here. Like this. I remember when I got this fight months ago, and how the hell did I get here?
Exactly. You know, I've been in the gym every day, and then all of a sudden I'm in Thunderdome, and one of us is gonna exit the winner. Exactly. Thankfully, it's not to the death, so it's not like,
feels like it,
oh, 100%. I'm like, it might as well be, you know, the Thunderdome. One person is leaving alive, and the other person's. But yeah, I remember staring across, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put on my own little mean face, and gonna be ready for this. And you know, the bell went off. And that second going in there, I felt like I belonged. All my training, everything that I've done, all the competitions that I've had, you know, in that moment with it clicking and me being in there, you know, I had this exhilaration, this happiness. And, you know, you could always tell in a fight when I'm enjoying myself, because I have this huge stupid grin on my face.
You do.
Yeah, it's awful. Even in my last Invicta fight, they're like, Deanna, did you get rocked? And I'm like, no, I was just happy I was in the cage. That's why I was smiling. And the whole time, that first fight, I had this huge smile on my face. And, you know, I went through the first round, felt great. You know, between rounds, coaches gave me their input, and second round come out, you know, I was able to take her down, and I was able to TKO her in the second round, and it was the most amazing feeling that I've ever had. I knew that this was something where I was meant to be, and I knew that this was something that was going to change my life. You know, at that point, I never thought that I would come and be a professional fighter and, you know, go to all the different places that I've been to right now in the sport, but you know, I just knew that I had a peaceful feeling, and I just knew that something was different about this than any other sport that I did, or any other activity, just kind of in general. You know, my hand got raised, and it was one of the happiest moments of my entire life, and it was, yeah. I can't even explain it, you know, just I've had a lot of, you know, really good experiences, you know, winning hockey national championships with Utah team and all this stuff. But nothing really matched that very first MMA fight, coming out, getting my hand raised. And it's funny, I just posted on Instagram, I have this little scar that's right above my knuckle on my middle finger on my left hand. And it's because I grazed the cage when I was TKOing that girl. And it's a constant reminder to me of that feeling. You know, I look at it often, and most of the time it's kind of like, look at my little misshapen claws. But then I always come back to that scar, because I'm like, you know, that's a reminder of that feeling of when I got into there, when I knew that this was something that I wanted to do. And I think it's cool. I like my little reminder there. I could do with some of the other reminders without those, like my messed up tooth. Like, that was a reminder to not duck my head out of a clinch. One day we'll get rid of that reminder, but it was a real cool feeling. So,
well, it's different than a team sport, because like you can be confident in your team, but being confident in yourself is completely different.
Oh yeah,
like even my first TKO that I got, I was really like up until after the bell, he stopped it. I still was like, oh my god, I might lose. Like, you know, like all of a sudden you fucking win, and it's just bizarre. Like, you don't know what it feels like to be winning or losing yet, I think. At least for me.
Oh, no, completely. And I always tell this to people, and it makes me sound like a psychopath or something. Like, you never know the feeling of sitting on somebody and punching them in the face. Like, that is a glorious feeling. I love the feeling of sitting on somebody, controlling them, and just like dominating and raining down punches on them. And I told that to somebody who wasn't a fighter, and their eyes like grew 3 times the size, and they started like backing up a little bit. I'm like, I'm not gonna do it to you now. Like, piss me off, and maybe I'll find you in the parking lot. But like,
well,
you're safe.
Good at it, so it's obvious you like it.
It's what I do. It's what I live for.
Way more fun.
Right? I'm like,
you can see with punches is way more fun.
That's where it's at. That's life right there.
That's what makes MMA different too. Like, I remember I had a boxing fight once, and I'm like, well, this isn't that scary because I know I can't end up on my back being punched in the face. So
exactly.
Or at least I have that. If I lose, I'll survive.
Oh, completely. Because like I said, I did some kickboxing just inside the gym fights, and those ones were just kind of like, all right, well, that was cool. High five.
Like, what did you think? Did you get hit with little gloves for the first time in that fight?
I took a couple punches, but nothing crazy. It took until the very first time I remember cleanly getting hit with a punch was actually my very first pro fight. And it wasn't even a punch to the face. It was a punch. My first fight, I'm in the back just laughing hysterically, and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yes! And then just giggling.
It's interesting to see how everyone processes it different, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You see people go through this cutting weight and their whole camp. Some people just get really withdrawn and turn into assholes. Some people need to, like, I like to goof around and have fun before a fight, because otherwise my mind will get the best of me. But
oh, definitely.
It's just, everyone has this weird process, but I think it doesn't necessarily get easier, but I feel like over time you just eventually, it's like your body just clicks into the mode that you need to be in. Like, I freak out always when I get a fight, and then like about 2 weeks out you have like your last freak out, and then you're in that mode. Like, it's like you're on the
completely
the train already, and there's no stopping it.
Yep, it's the 2 week out freak out. I tell that every single time. I start, I'm like, what am I doing? The world is falling apart. And then I'll do the math, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm 2 weeks out from the fight. I'm like, silly Deanna.
I didn't realize that was a thing until I like met you girls, and I realized we all do that.
I'm glad. I know.
Guys don't really, if they have it, they don't really communicate that they freak out.
Nah, they gotta be big and tough and pretend that nothing bothers them. I'm like, either one, you're having your period, I mean, we just don't know it, or two, you're having the 2 week out freak out, and it's fine. You don't have to be a little machismo and like act like everything's fine. Like, you're okay to show emotion every once in a while. Like, calm down.
Usually until then, too, you're like, I got time to lose the weight. It's like 2 weeks. You're like, okay.
You're like, ooh,
it's time. Like,
guess I better buckle down with that one.
Your math in your head every hour of every day of like, how much you need to lose by
You're like,
this time.
so I need to lose 1 pound this hour. And then maybe I'll be on track for this kind of thing. And yeah, I know, to this day I still have a freak out. And I remember my last fight in Salt Lake, I'm standing up top and I have the nervous peas before any fight, so I'm like running to the bathroom every 5 minutes. They're like, really? Commission's like, again? And I'm like, listen, you gotta just assign somebody to me, because I will run to the bathroom whether my body actually has to go or not. It's telling me I do, and so we're not risking being that person. So I just run back and forth, and then I'm in the back like, am I ready for this? Yes, Deanna, you're great. And then all the little voices in my head say all those things. But then again, you know, as soon as you get into the cage, they lock that door. It almost just kind of snaps like, all right, time to put it on. Let's do this. It's just me and her in the cage.
It's in a different dimension.
Completely.
Like, up until that time, like, being backstage is the worst, I think.
So bad.
Walking out is when I start like getting excited about it, and they grease you up, and that's exciting. But getting in the cage is like, what the fuck? Where am I? How did I end up here? And you try to like soak up the moment, and at the same time you're like, what is going on? Like, what did I do in my life to like put myself in this position?
What have I done to bring myself to this current point in my life? Like, you have that moment where you're replaying every little thing that you've done for the whole fight camp, the last 8 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is. You're like, well, did I make the right choice? I guess I made the right choice. Of course you did. You're happy to be here, but what if this? But it's going to be okay. And it's, again, all the little voices in my head.
Bargaining. That's the phase.
That's the one, bargaining. Exactly. I'm like, ha, all right. Well, that's the stage that we're in right now. And then, you know, you just got to hit acceptance before the ref says go, and then you're good. So, as long as you get to acceptance.
You gotta just, like, ride the wave and not let it, like, toss you around, I realize. Because I've definitely had fights where I let my fear get the best of me, and the wave, like, rode me. Like, I just was fighting against, like, if you just go with the flow and feel comfortable, it's so much easier.
Exactly. As long as you're comfortable by the time that it gets going, then that's great. And, you know, I've mentioned it before, you know, I've had one of my fights where, like, personally, I was in a really bad place with the end of a relationship and all this kind of stuff. And I remember walking out and I was going through all those emotions, and I told myself, like, all right, it's 15 minutes at the most. Go ahead. Just go get it done with. Go get it done with. And I'm like, I wish I could take it back. I would have the little demons, my little inner voices, I would rather have them doing their little chirping and stuff and just having those nerves than just being like, all right, well, whatever, it is what it is. Just go out there.
Fighting is, like, so different than anything else. Like, it has to be in your heart.
Yep.
You have to want it, because if there's, like, some sort of doubt, I feel like
it'll amplify in there.
Like, 100%. And I've, like, my last fight was like that, which was tough to end on that, but it was like, I remember, like, a moment in the fight, and you're embarrassed to say these things, but I had a moment in the fight where I'm like, I just want this to be over with. You know? Like, you just aren't feeling it for one reason or another, and it's so hard to, like, get it up when, like, everyone's watching and you're dealing with someone that's tougher than you thought, and it's hard. It's just easy to, like, shrink down. I think that's what makes the difference between, I think everyone experiences it, but some people are better at that mental aspect than others, obviously, because it's the easiest, it's so easy, but it's the hardest thing to, like, get a hold of. The mindset.
Definitely. Thing. I mean, in that one fight, you know, I still felt like I was winning, and I was going out there, going through the motions, and it took going into the third round, she hit me with the one clean punch that she hit me the whole fight, broke my nose. I had blood just cascading down my face. It was on my legs. It was dripping everywhere. And it took that action right there. It took me breaking my nose for me to snap into it mentally. And I remember I had this thought, and you could see it if you watch the fight. You could see the moment where it clicks, because I just get this brightness in my eyes again, and the smile came back to my face. And even though I'm bloody, I'm dripping everywhere, it's going everywhere, I have this huge smile, which again makes me look even crazier, because I have got blood coming out of everywhere. And I'm like, well, I think I ate a little bit at that point because it was going so badly. And, like, I love this. I freaking love this. This is exactly where I want to be. Like, what the heck is wrong with you, Deanna? Like,
well, it's like,
the
other end of that is there's moments too where you're like, you find something inside yourself that you didn't think you had.
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Like, you have that moment where you're like, I love this shit. This is so much fun. You know, there's both. I always say it magnifies your character being in those positions. You learn so much about yourself in like one fight than most people learn in like years.
Completely, because it tests you. That's the greatest thing about fighting is it takes all of your willpower and it tests you as a person. Like, because it's just you and the other person in there. No one else is going to be in there and help you. So it shows how you're going to react to bad situations and really brings out your true character. And I mean, not that I really wish she would have broken my nose earlier, but I kind of wish that I would have snapped into it earlier, because I still feel like I could have won that fight. I still feel like I did in the end, but, that's here nor there. One judge agreed with me, but we won't, split hairs with that one or anything. Like, it's in the past. It's fine. I'll get it back someday. But it's fighting. I always say that, I feel like everyone should at least train and get that feeling. Mm-hmm. A lot of people live their life not knowing what they're capable of. And fighting for me has really shown me what I'm capable of and what I love to do. And, even in the moments where it's not evident to me, it's evident to the people that know me the best. And, I've said it before, like, that was my dad's last word to me, was fight, because, it was a point where it was right after that loss. I had 2 losses in a row, and, I was questioning everything that I was doing, and I was in a really bad spot. Me and my boyfriend of 5 years had just broken up. Like, my life was just kind of in shambles at that point. And him, being the person he was, had that clarity when he couldn't say anything more than like 1 or 2 words. The one word he said to me was fight, and wanted me to keep going with this, because he knew deep down how much it meant to me and how much it's changed my life. And, even when I was doubting myself with that, he was able to kind of point me towards it. And I'm so glad that I didn't stop, because it's taken me to a lot more places even since then. And, I have that renewed emotion with it, going on The Ultimate Fighter. And then with this last fight, if you watch the last fight, you see me smiling through the entire thing, because I was so happy to be in that cage and to having that experience, and to be doing the opportunity to do what I love, honestly. And a lot of people live their life and never find a moment like that. And I'm so grateful, that first fight where I got conned into it by the girl at the gym. Like, she's just like, "You're fighting." And I'm like, I don't know about that. And she's like, "No, you're fighting." I'm like, okay. Like, I'm so glad that she had the insight to throw me into there with that, and to find me that fight, and basically force me into it, even though I was a little hesitant. She forced me into that cage, and, I couldn't be more grateful that she did for everything that it's done for my life.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on the show, Deanna. It's really good perspective. I like hearing all the details and the emotions, just to show that we're human too.
Exactly.
Just because you do something that people think is courageous doesn't mean you're not afraid. So it gives a really authentic perspective on human emotions and what we go through. So I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thanks for having me. I even controlled myself and didn't say anything inappropriate.